Good morning. Let's get started. Got some interesting things to talk about with CJET in a minute. But let's look at Nike. Nike had earnings last night, and it's looking really good so far. Fingers crossed it doesn't come back down. We do have a big position on Nike for the swing trade. I was just researching CJET this morning, but none of our other swings have earnings coming up too soon. So that's good. Thank you. All right. So yeah, we have Nike long from 71 average for the swing. It's a nice trend break right here. You can see it a lot better on this 2-hour chart. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful trend break. We have our forecast for Nike, and this is catching up really nicely. Let me pull it up here. Nike. So this is the forecast. This is what we expect to happen with Nike in the coming month or 2 or 3 maybe. We should have a nice run into the end of the year. So really nice looking chart, and it looks like we're kind of reverting back up into this prediction area right now. So we want to see this push into the 80s over the next, I don't know, week or 2 or 3 or month, something like that. So I have the long from this green line right here at 71, and then as of right now, it's pushing back to 73s. And I'm expecting this to go back into the 80s before too long, maybe in October. And then we'll consider selling it over there. We'll see how it shakes out. But so far it's following this playbook pretty nicely. Yeah, we had Tilray. Tilray was a really nice trade. Again, we were long initially from 113, and then Trump pumped it over the weekend right here, and this thing ran up to $2. So is that the end? It's hard to say. It could keep going. Maybe it's going to consolidate. It is pulling back to the breakout level now. So it's kind of holding that breakout. It did pull back this morning a little bit more from yesterday. So I sold it all into this move higher right here. So just scale it out into the spike. That's how I do it. So we did, I don't know, 30% on that, about. So really happy with that trade. And then now what could happen with this is it could hold again and hold this breakout level after this pullback and then continue higher. It's very possible. So if we got that, okay, Tilray. Then we're going to end up seeing maybe a move like this. It is possible. This would be the best case scenario, probably. Let me put this back to the daily chart. Here we go. So the forecast has it, best case scenario, of course, hitting the 420 profit target. Now, I already sold, but look what can happen here. We could have some consolidation right here where it's at. It could consolidate. It's already pulled back. So we could see consolidation for a few days and then another move higher. Potentially, this would be a really big move if it's able to do that. So we'll keep an eye on it, maybe re-enter. I like the trend breaks. So if we get a trend break again, another flag, then I'll buy it again and try to get another move out of it. Trump pumped it. So that's why it kind of did this, but we really need to have some meaningful news for legalization. Something needs to happen to sustain this move. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing maybe a squeeze like this, and then it'll come back. If we see more than that, let me see, is this, no. Yeah, I have another one that I have in mind, which is more of a sustained move if we do get news. And then that would put us, pushing back towards 10 or 20 bucks eventually. But it needs real news. This is really difficult industry right now with the whole legalization situation. So I want to talk about CJET really quick because this is kind of important. Hopefully this is all it's got in it. But CJET has some dilutive activities going on, and it's really interesting. Of course, this can squeeze, which it's already doing. You never know where the top of the squeeze is. You never know. But just want to point this out because it's really interesting. I'm going to pull up this SEC filing right here. So this is the 424B5 filing. And this is showing all the dilutive activities they've got going on. So you can see 13.5 million shares Class A. We've got warrants, 13.5 million Class A, 54 million Class A warrants, and a couple more million there, another 600,000 there. But what's really interesting with this is all this extra text because they hide it. They hide this dilution in this wall of text. So it kind of makes it hard to read through it all. It's all lawyer speak. So, but what this boils down to is effectively we've got 54 million shares here that can be sold. Now, if I look at the exercise price, somewhere in here it says the exercise price is, I believe, 59 cents per share. So then you might think, well, it's not at 59 cents yet. It just got to 50 cents. Maybe it keeps going. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. In this text, you should read through this if you're interested in this kind of stuff. But this says that after a certain date, then here it is, 59 cents. Then this price is reduced. And there's another date where the price is reduced again. So there's been 2 dates that have passed that have lowered this exercise price. So now the exercise price is 29 cents. That's what it boils down to. So basically 54 million shares now could be sold potentially with an exercise price of 29 cents. Plus there's more garbage to this. There's some cashless exercise stuff going on, which is 0, which then somehow gives them 2 extra shares instead of 1 share. I don't know the details, but that's what's going to happen. So it sounds like not only is it at 29 cents per share, they actually get double the shares that they're able to sell. So it's super dilutive, and I find that fascinating. So CJET, obviously cheap stock, known dilutive stock, but it's the kind of dilution too that matters. And if they're selling today, which why would it pump otherwise? Then, basically 29 cents a share is the exercise price. We'll see if they can offload. I mean, that's a lot of shares to sell. I don't know if they can. I don't think they can sell 54 million in a day like this. That's a lot of shares. What do we have on the day? We do have 379 million shares traded on the day already. They have 54 million to sell at 29 cents. So I imagine, if the pump is over, then they're going to start selling. But it all depends. It's a pretty big gap. So we'll see how it shakes out. This is really interesting stuff to me. So there you go. That's a quick explanation of this dilutive activity. This is a really interesting one. This dilution can be really nasty. It can be incredibly nasty how they do this. And there's all the details. They have to tell you what they're going to do in these filings, but you have to sort out the filing and figure out what's going to actually happen, because it's a lot of stuff to read through, and it's written in such a way that it will put you to sleep. By design. All right. So I'm hoping for pure liquidation today on this. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. So that is the main gapper right now. RVYL, number 2. Oh yeah, also CJET had some kind of news to pump the stock up. So we got company secures commitment to expand private placement to $1 billion following strong investor demand. Right. Where's the demand? I don't know. This has only gone down. Pretty funny though. Hopefully this is topped out. They could keep going, but Yeah, now they're going to want to sell pretty quickly. Usually that's how it works. But we'll see. It could keep going. The higher the better, really, for them. All right, let's look at the rest of these. RVYL. RVYL, nice gapper overnight. Another cheapie, sub-dollar stock. What's the news, though? We had news yesterday. Let's see. Let's find it. Okay, so they halted on news initially. So that's interesting. And then merger agreement, $75 million. Signed agreement. Here's the news. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I just signed a merger agreement with RTB Digital Roundtable, Web3 digital technology, software as a service technology company. Okay, some merger agreement deal. That's pretty much it. Probably a garbage company buying a garbage company. Cavill, former runner. This one's ran really nicely in the past. See if he can do it again. Huge move back here in 2021, back when everything was running. Since then, series of pump and dumps. You know, major resistance at $2. And yeah, there's quite a bit there at 80 cents. So 80 cents is the main level for this one. We'll see if it can get up to 80 cents. Maybe do something with that. Maybe room to run up to 80 cents there. LAC is back up. LAC. Can't believe it. What a move. More news yesterday from LAC. U.S. to take stake in Lithium Americas to boost Nevada project. U.S. Department of Energy to take 5% stake in Lithium Americas. The government's been buying all kinds of stocks at the dead bottom. They know exactly how to get in. It's nice when you buy the stock and then it runs because you bought it. It's hard to lose like that. It's like free money. GLXG, another one. This one ran up this morning, kind of fading back already. No news for this one. Okay, this one's probably done anyways. That's pretty much it. There's not a ton today. There is just CJET, which had a pretty nice squeeze in pre-market. Hopefully that's all it has in it. Hopefully that's all it can do. And they start dumping these shares Because as soon as this tops out, they're going to be offloading loads of shares, most likely. They don't have to, but most likely. So they can start selling at any time. So far, it looks like it's still holding up fine. It would make sense to do it after the open. But also, yeah, I don't know. Usually get a big surge of volume out of the open, and then maybe they're going to sell into that and try to dump all the shares right there. We'll see what it does. Pretty interesting setup. Yeah, we had a multi-day runner yesterday that played out really nice. I'm short selling a lot of stuff, so we had a trend break yesterday on this one. Beautiful daily chart. Clean breakout. Okay, this is a classic small cap breakout setup. Look at that. 3 days of continuation, kind of sideways at the top here. But we got the fake out over the high, and then we got the trend break after that. So, see, we wicked out the high right there. Wicked right over the high. And then got the trend break. Pretty clean looking trend break. It was a little bit liquid, but it played out really nice still. Plenty of volume, really. So all it did is wedge in the morning. A little bit of a gap down. And broke trend. Best case for these, you get breakdown, pull back to the trend line, short at the trend line, fade it back, make 10, 15, 20%, 30% sometimes. Potentially going to have another red day today. It is trying to gap up a little bit. Day 2 is usually more of a waterfall situation out of the gate, so I would kind of want to see it just go straight down out of the gate. Otherwise, it might just be annoying and try to push the breakout again. Now, you can imagine if short sellers are doing exactly what I just said, but swinging overnight, so they're going to be short from right around 230, 220, 215, somewhere in there. So if that level starts getting pushed today, which it's pretty close to already, then we could see this push back over that and then threaten to break out again and put in a really nice green day. And that would probably be the last gasp in this thing if it does that. I wouldn't expect it, but it's totally possible. Some of these multi-day runners tend to be a little sticky, and they just hold up a lot longer than you'd think. Trapping shorts over and over again until it finally exhausts everybody. The only other one we have is Zura. Nice little breakout. Not my favorite kind of breakout, but really just a 2-day runner so far. We'll see if it breaks trend or not. Not super interested yet in this. Hopefully it has another big day. And then tomorrow sets up for the short. So we'll see. All right, let's focus up. We have 1 minute to the open. We'll see if it squeezes some more or not with CJET right here at the open. Hopefully not. All right. So they've got 50 million shares or so to sell at 29 cents a share, exercise price. See if they dump it or not. LMT selling off already. Is that right? The government shutdown day begins. So you were saying LMT, maybe the airlines, LUV, DAL, potentially BA. Companies with government contracts that might be shutting down, losing some revenue because of that. Would make a lot of sense to have a pullback on some stuff like that. Hey, what about Tesla? Tesla's got government contracts, and maybe SpaceX does. Unfortunately, SpaceX is a private company. No liquidation yet here. Maybe they're going to let it run. Did tap 50 cents. That's the major level. We'll see if that's all it's got. Maybe. We'll see if it starts dumping for real here or not. Testing 47. 46. So far it's holding pretty well. $46 testing. 45. 43. Nice. Liquidation begins, hopefully. Could still come back, but if they're selling, it's probably game over. Now, I don't know. I mean, 50 million shares, it's kind of a lot, but it's traded already 400 million on the day. Now, I believe they get double the shares. So it's really, it might be more like 100 million. Very sketchy offering or warrants. Fine text. So we'll see. Wow. Pretty much all my swings reversed overnight, so now we're up on all of them again. Especially Nike. We want to see Nike hold up. All right, we want to see some lower lows. So far, it's holding a dip. CJET holding this dip. And just because there's dilution doesn't mean they have to actually use it. It's a good dip hold right there. Maybe it squeezes. Tesla pushing a bit. Etsy's bouncing back pretty hard. Yeah, I don't like how long this is hanging out. Probably squeezes. Testing 47s again. 50 cents is a pretty clear key level. Not liquidated yet. This could squeeze. It always looks like it's going to squeeze too until it does or doesn't. Okay, back to 46. I am willing to take a max loss on this if it doesn't work. Testing 46. What's it going to do? Looks like it's about to roll over. 45. What was that? Still holding this dip so far. Wow, YCBD got rolled. Make sure you're out of that one. All right, CJET 42s. Okay, cool. Nice, looking good. Lower lows, please. Third day surge. Testing 43. Looks like it's pretty much done. It could always come back, but I'd say they're offloading. The thing is, 500 million shares on the day. They got 29 cents conversion price. So potentially 100 million shares to sell. So 1/5 basically of the shares they have printed, and they're probably just selling right now. And they probably tried to get as many as they could out at 50 cents. Would be my guess. Just speculation, but it would make a lot of sense. All right, we got a lower low now, so we want to see it pretty much stay weak. Testing a dip here at 42. Potential reversal spot. Yeah, tough day for longs for sure. The best one was CJET in pre-market for small cap. All right, an attempt to bounce back here. 43 cents. They've got 100 million shares to get rid of real quick. And they're still up massively from 29 cents. You know, they're up 50% on those. They were up 60 or 70% on those shares. We'll see if this can continue. So far it's holding this dip pretty well. Testing 41. Yep, and UAI did the week open as we discussed. Morning, Scotty. Yeah, we're looking at CJET. CJET's got some wild dilution stuff going on. Basically, warrants at 29 cents a share, about 100 million of them. They don't have to offload them, but most likely they're going to. So this is probably going right back below 30 cents pretty quickly, I would guess. It's a potential reversal spot right here. Of course, they don't have to use the dilution, but that's what it's for, right? Yeah, they got a really sketchy filing. Lots of fine print. Etsy bouncing back pretty hard. That is funny. It's funny how a lot of these big caps, they have a crazy green day and then give it all back the next day, and then it just continues going higher the following days. All right, pretty big decision point here for CJET. This thing is churning a lot of volume. 600 million on the day so far. $226 million traded. All right, here we go. Now we're seeing some pullback. Probably going to halt down. Panic selling ensues. Melt under the pivot. That's what I'm thinking this goes back below 30. But yeah, below 35 for sure should happen. Pretty much. I wonder what happens if they don't sell all their shares that they need to sell. Because if they have 100 million and they're just sitting on shares from 29 cents that they weren't able to sell, I guess they just hold on to it and wait for the next pump. I would imagine, though, they want to just liquidate because it might not ever come back up. Now, there is kind of a key level from pre-market high, so it's fighting around that right now. Well, not pre-market high, but this bounce high over here. So it kind of bounced off of that already. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes below 30. Yeah, Etsy's hilarious. Just right back up. That's funny. Day one of the government shutdown. Is that good or bad for the market? I can't tell yet. Sold some GME, 19%, nice. I like it. So I've got Lulu, added some more Lulu, added a bunch of Nike yesterday. Pfizer. Pfizer has Trump news. So I'm building into Pfizer. I think it's set up for a really nice swing. PayPal, adding into that. That one's not really working yet. Cracker Barrel, building in some Cracker Barrel. The thing with Cracker Barrel is they had that whole nonsense with the rebranding situation, a lot of backlash from that. And I think that just created a really nice dip buying opportunity. So we'll see. I'm slowly building into it. Usually those kind of things are, it just creates a nice dip buying opportunity because then it just comes back. Let's see, we got to keep an eye on Disney. Something going on with Disney. Disney's on a nice flag. I don't know. Harder read for me on that one. Goes through these big swings. Man, April this year was the time to buy every stock. Find Disney to be a hard trader. It does seem kind of difficult. So CJet, I was early, but it's still playing out. The thing with this one, it usually this breakout level is that's the place to cover. But this one's a little bit different because of the dilution and just the nature of the stock. It can definitely fully round trip. It definitely has potential to do that. Plus it gapped up through the breakout level, which is not ideal usually for breakouts. GameStop breaking out more. Was a good sell. 27.50. Super impressive move on GameStop over the past couple of weeks. Nike kind of looking like failed breakout action. We don't like that. But I'm in for the swing, so I'm hoping 68 never comes back. If it can do anything it wants, just don't go to 68, please. I'll be happy. Tesla pushing higher. You know, with Apple did something very similar, and then it took out the lows, held for a little bit, and then it ripped on their earnings. So, yeah, that was really annoying. Let me pull that up. Hopefully Nike doesn't do that. Yeah, right over here. So Apple was flagging really nicely through here. I was building in a position, held through the earnings. It went up on earnings, and then the following morning, bam, took out the low. Held sideways for a couple days, and then it took off. So there's your trap, short trap, shaking out the longs, breaking the low of this flag right here, and then just creating liquidity grab event right there for somebody with, a lot of money, and then rip it up back to highs. Insane. So we'll see. It could do this too, right here. This is nice. So this earnings, it gapped up, had a red day on the gap, but it held the dip, and then it just continued higher after that. That's a nice EP. All right, checking on CJET, we're at 37 cents. If 34 breaks, it's all over. Let's check out Unity. Unity. So Unity, it's been on a really, really nice run. See, this is what I think we're going to be seeing more of coming up. All these stocks that have been consolidating for a couple of years are going to start putting in this kind of move. It's pretty clean. I mean, you have some consolidation. April, we had the dip. Everything dipped in April. And then breakout pullback to the moving averages right here. Trend break. All the stuff. And then it just never came back. So all the way up to 46, 47. Those are the kind of moves we're after. That's an 80% move right there. Does it go more? Who knows? But, you know, just from July to September, 80% move. That's pretty good. Lower performers are the last to move. True. I think a lot of this stuff too is the AI bubble. I don't know. I mean, the money's going to pull out of that, and it's going to go into these undervalued names. So I don't know. The money shifts around. PayPal. Same deal. PayPal kind of had a move over here. This was a decent move. 50%. And then it kind of pulled back off of that. Maybe it's setting up again for a bigger move. It's kind of the same thing Alibaba did. See, Baba had a same kind of base. It had a big move right here, gave it all back, and then it held for the next even bigger move shortly after. It's possible. But yeah, I think towards the end of the year, we're going to see some stuff pop. They look high, tight flag, cup and handle patterns, moves. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to see more stuff like that. My favorites right now are going to be Lulu. Cracker Barrel, not bad. I'm enjoying Cracker Barrel. I think it's going to be nice. But Nike has a ton of potential. Lulu has a ton of potential. See this Lulu, I mean, it just follows this playbook back here pretty closely. So this is pretty much set up for a big move, plus this trend break coming. 60-70% off the top. It's hard to get a discount like that very often. But just a swing towards the end of the year right here would be, what would that be? That's a 50% move for a 2 or 3 month hold. Potentially. Nike, similar situation. I do like the weekly chart for these swings too because it just Smooths out a lot of the noise. So I'm long on the green line right here. Bought this pullback. So I'm really hoping 68 holds up. I don't want it to go below 68. Could always double bottom, do something annoying. But yeah, this projection, again, following really closely. So this pullback here, maybe similar to this pullback. Maybe it just hasn't popped yet. I don't know. But it seems like it's going to get up to into that 60 or 85 area. Plus institutional ownership is up. And the politicians like it too. So the politicians are in from the 50s. And they're the best stock traders in the world. So AI likes it too. So AI says 6 months, 75 to 85, which aligns with this really nicely. Oh, this is grok. This is just grok. I've checked ChatGPT. It says similar stuff. Similar stuff. Not that I would go based on that, but it's nice to see that it aligns. Deep stink. I don't use deep stink. I think they're all pretty similar. I don't know. They vary a bit. I think there's some that are for financial stuff specifically. I haven't checked, but mainly, this does good enough, and I think it's just nice to see that it aligns with what I was thinking. Plus 2027, 120 to 150. So we're trending in the right direction, and that also aligns with this projection right here. So just nice to see. Wow, look at that, right to 120 in June 2027. A little bit of confluence. SPY-like shutdowns. Yeah, I don't know if it's good or bad. Shutdown might be really good. Who knows? You mean the government's wasting less money? Is that good or bad? I don't know. Who knows? I did check some other shutdowns that happened in the past and just compared with SPY to see how the market reacted. And I checked out 3 or 4 of them, and it was basically no impact on the market. The market was just continuing to do whatever it wanted to do at the time. If it was going down, it went down. If it was going up, it kept going up. So I don't know. Definitely, though, those specific companies that have government contracts that might get canceled because of this, that could be a big deal for those companies. Too much of a short-term event. True. Core, we've got to deal with Meta yesterday. That's a big deal. Big trend break on CoreWeave. So hopefully they got a deal, so that's great. I'd like to buy this if it pulls back some. It maybe gives me a smaller trend break. So I'm going to watch out for that. Hopefully we get it. Okay, CJet doing things now. Back to 35. $34. 33. Now it's going to test that level. Hopefully it just kind of bounces off and rolls over. Or if it just slams through, that'd be great too. I'm just going to let it play out. See what it does. UNH. I think UNH is halfway through its move right now. I think this could push up towards mid 400s, 500 pretty soon. And then, I don't know, eventually it probably gets back to all-time highs, but in the short term, I'd expect mid 400s. Probably over the next month or two. See ya, Scotty. Have a good one. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it there. I got to let these play out. We'll see how we do. I'll put some updates in Discord later. All right. Good luck, everybody. Have a good one. We'll be back tomorrow.